Welcome to Bob Voice Notes, a short leadership reflections designed to keep you balanced as you build. Let's get into today's note. You remember that moment when David stood before Saul, ready to face Goliath? Saul tried to dress him in armor that didn't fit. It was heavy. It was unfamiliar. It was built for a man who avoided the battle, not for the shepherd boy who had already faced lions and bears. And David said no. He chose his own sling and his own stones. That decision wasn't just about gear. It was about conflict. It was about how you face opposition, not with borrowed strategies, not with someone else's armor, but with what's authentic to you. Conflict avoided is culture collapsed. In leadership, we all face giants. Sometimes the giant is a toxic colleague. Sometimes it's instability in the team. Sometimes it's the uncomfortable truth no one wants to say out loud. Here's the problem. When leaders avoid conflict, they create space for culture collapse. Think about Saul. He avoided the fight. He let Goliath taunt the people day after day. That's exactly what happens in organizations when leaders see dysfunction but say nothing. It grows louder. It grows bolder. And eventually, the people lose heart. Avoidance is borrowed armor. It looks like safety, but it corrodes trust, navigating egos, emotions, and instability. Conflict is messy. It's rarely just about the issue on the table. It's about egos. It's about emotions. It's about instability in people who are carrying more than they can manage. Sometimes it's about emotional fragility. And when emotional fragility enters the room, your communication style can suddenly be framed as the perpetrator. Instead of addressing the real issue, you may be told by some to fix it by softening yourself, changing your tone, or adopting someone else's way of handling things. But that's the trap. When you do that, you're being told to dilute your authenticity to put on armor that doesn't fit. An armor that doesn't fit won't save you. It just weighs you down and strips away the very strength you bring to the culture. David's sling was small, but it was his. Leaders need the same tools of truth, care, and accountability that fit their hands. Empathy plus firmness equals balance. Here's where Bob comes in. Conflict is the place where balance is tested most. Empathy without accountability? That's armor too heavy to move in. You get stuck in caring so much that you never make a decisive call. Firmness without empathy? That's armor too cold to inspire. You can command obedience, but you'll never cultivate loyalty. The balance is this: truth in one hand, care in the other, accountability at the center. That's leadership DNA in conflict. And when you step into that balance in your own armor, people might not like what you say, but they will trust that it's you saying it. So here's the question I'll leave you with. The next time conflict shows up in a meeting, in a relationship, in a hard decision, ask yourself, am I stepping into this in my own armor, or am I wearing someone else's? Because conflict doesn't just test your skills, it tests your DNA. And the battles you win as a leader aren't the ones where you shouted the loudest or avoided the longest. They're the ones where you stood steady, balanced. Truth in one hand, care in the other. Accountability at the center. That's the fight worth showing up for. That's how you build culture instead of watching it collapse. Until next time, keep leading with balance, and remember authenticity is your strongest armor.